right, Nick. Kansas City Chiefs are up today, and there's been some interesting news. Patrick Mahomes been making some interesting comments. We're gonna try to dissect those comments and tell you exactly kind of what he means and what could this mean for the Chiefs. Is it's a theme that's been going on throughout this offseason, which we do believe it is. But before we get into that interesting story, Nick, Chiefs fans, season this close, so close. Big games are coming around the corner. You always love to see your high flying Chiefs offense powered by Patrick Mahomes. But what game and team are you the most excited to see the Chiefs go up against this year? Which team is the most exciting? I know the AFC West has a bunch of Bulldogs in there. Everyone's going to be a tough game. Do you want to see the Chiefs go up against Russell Wilson and the Broncos, Carr and the Raiders, Herbert and the Chargers? Or is it NFC or AFC opponents that you don't normally play all the time? Let us know in the comments below, what team are you the most excited about playing this year? But Nick, what's going on with the Chiefs? What did Patrick Mahomes say?
Yeah, so this is according to Kansas City Star. Now, obviously, it's that time of the year. Everybody and their grandmother is the middle of fantasy football draft season. So even NFL players aren't immune. They hear it and they talk about it. And Patrick Mahomes had some interesting quotes to the Kansas City Star about the Chiefs and related to fantasy football. This is what Mahomes said here. Quote, I think there's going to be a different player every single game that has the big game. It's not going to necessarily be just Tyreek and Travis every single week where one is having a big game or both. It's going to be every single week. It's going to be someone different. Mahomes went on to say, I'm sorry to all you fantasy football guys, but it's going to come from everywhere. So you're going to have to choose the right guy every week. All right, Mike. So obviously the Chiefs, a lot of volatility at offense, trading away Tyreek Hill, but added a bunch of weapons. And we talked about what that means for their roster and how it's going to be structured, and then how it can actually be really good for Patrick Mahomes. And you see Mahomes is 100%. He's excited because he knows every single week opposing defenses are going to have to pick their poison because he's smart enough and deadly enough to find out who they're going to focus on and go to the other guy. What are your thoughts on Mahomes' comments here and just the Chiefs offense in general as we head into week one?
At first I thought to myself, of course they have a number one guy. Of course they're going to feed Kelsey or they're going to feed Juju. But then I take a step back and I start to think about it. And I look at this roster, okay, Nick? And, Travis Kelsey, some people talk about, oh, he's going to regress. He's getting older. I don't think that's the case, at least not now. He's shown no signs of that. So that's asinine to say something like that. But, Kelsey is going to get a lot of touches. And if you guard Kelsey, then Juju's going to get a lot of touches. You try to guard both of them. MVS is going to go off. Like, we know that he has the potential to. He's had some big games in Green Bay. And then outside of that, you got Mecole Hardman, a guy that a lot of people are sleeping on, the third guy in this depth chart. But even after Mecole, Sky Moore has looked pretty impressive through camp. And then you go on even outside of pass catching, like tight ends, receivers. You look at a guy like Isaiah Pacheco. He could have big games as well. And I think there's even one more guy who's going to be a sleeper, Nick. And you quote me on this season. I'm very interested about second-year tight end Jody Fortson. I think he has potential to be big for the Chiefs. I've seen a lot of stories floating around about him. He's a very interesting prospect. And I'm excited to watch him going forward this season. But like you said, it seems crazy to think the Chiefs may not have a number one guy, but I really do think anyone on this team has the potential to get a large share of the targets from game to game.
Well, and again, you remember Andy Reid historically, if you go back his time with the Eagles, right before the TO days, he actually never really had a number one guy. They had a lot of number two and number three wide receivers and Brian Westbrook at running back and Donovan McNabb running the show. And they were obviously very, very good. That was a good offense, went to, I think, 3 or 4 NFC championship games in a row. So obviously, Andy Reid has had a lot of success in his career without having, that number one, bell cow wide receiver, the all pro like Tyreek Hill obviously was. So there is a sort of history there and that Andy Reid is kind of going back on. But I do think this is also kind of looking towards the future a little bit and how the Chiefs have structured. And we talked about it a little bit, but I know Kelsey he's an elite player. There's no doubt about it. But the fact of the matter is he's still 32 years old. Pat Mahomes is obviously much younger than Kelsey. The Chiefs are really hoping that 5 years from now, Kelsey will probably be retired, but Mahomes will still be Mahomes. So they want to get Mahomes used to playing around a group of receivers because based on salary cap and where they're going to draft, because it's going to be late in the draft and things like that, it's probably not likely they're going to get another Tyreek Hill-esque guy again. They're probably going to get a lot of number 2, number 3 guys. So getting Mahomes used to and kind of building up that offensive sort of a pattern of success with this kind of structure where, hey, we don't have a number 1 guy potentially every week at wide receiver, but we got 5 guys that could be that number 1 guy if it's the right matchup. That's going to be how Mahomes is going to have to play probably the rest of his career. He certainly is on board with that according to his comments here. And you can see this Chief offense is really gearing going towards that direction. So I think that's also really smart from the Chiefs perspective as well. 1, Andy Reid's had a lot of success like this. And 2, get Mahomes used to it because this is going to be how he's going to have to win the rest of his career.
Yeah, Nick. And if you go back in time, like you said, you love NFL history. The Chiefs and Andy Reid especially have had some very interesting seasons. And this even could be, you remember like 2014 where the Chiefs threw 0 touchdowns to a wide receiver all season? Yeah. Like they've done it many, many, many different ways. So just watch out for what game plan Andy Reid's breaking out. There could be a game where you're like, obviously they're going to throw receivers touchdowns. There could be a whole game where they scheme just to tight ends and running backs. You never know what's going to happen.
All right, Nick, it's time to get your internet privacy back today on every device you own in any country you want. Don't let anyone but you control your internet. NordVPN keeps you safe from prying eyes wherever you go online with their military-grade encryption. Is your favorite Netflix or streaming content blocked in the US? You can simply connect to one of the many countries available with NordVPN and get the access you need.
That's right, Maya. So right now, get our exclusive NordVPN deal here at nordvpn.com/SMI. It's risk-free now with NordVPN's 30-day money-back guarantee. Again, get that exclusive deal, nordvpn.com/SMI.